like it's been forever since I've done a sit-down video talking to y'all, so I thought it was time. Things have been hectic. We went on vacation. I had mouth issues when we got back from vacation. I had to plan Matt's birthday party, have the birthday party, all while my kids were sick, running fevers, and it's just been crazy hectic. All while I'm trying to get my reading done before my birth doula workshop next month. So it's just been crazy hectic trying to do a ton of things all at one time. But I wanted to sit down and do a video because through all the reading I've been doing, I have been learning a lot. Things I had no idea about. I knew that I would learn a lot of stuff, but I didn't know how little I knew about some parts of birth. Obviously, I've had 3 births myself, 3 vaginal births myself in hospital. And I had no idea of some of the things that I didn't even know about, which is surprising to me because I'm pretty knowledgeable about things, but of course I'm always open to learning new things. So I was very surprised to learn some of the things that I've learned in the past week. So I thought that I would share some of the things that I had learned for people that are pregnant or have had babies and maybe want to have more children, just so they can be informed on some of the things that I learned that I wasn't informed on before I had babies, that I probably wish I would have known because I think I might have chosen a different path for my births. But I thought I would just dive into sharing some of the things that I learned. Okay, so the information that I'm going to give you guys is basically an outline of notes that I wrote regarding The Birth Partner by Penny Simkin. So all the information I'm giving you came from this book, which is amazing so far. I still have a lot of reading left to do in it. But I'm going to read, for one of my assignments, I had to do an outline of some of the chapters in this book. So I'm going to read you guys some of the information of notes that I jotted down. It's not straight copied from the book. It's my perspective and notes. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking in my Journey to Doula notebook here. Basically my portfolio. And what I'm going to be explaining to you guys about is the stages and phases of labor. First of all, I had no idea there was like different phases and stages of labor. I knew that you had to dilate, and then you have contractions, and then you push the baby out. I had no idea that there were different stages and phases. There's actually 3 stages to labor. I had no idea. And it's not the stages you would think that they are either. I was super surprised that I did not know this. I've had 3 babies. How did I not know this? So that's why I wanted to share it with y'all, those who would be interested in it, so you could have the good information to be informed, because I was not informed, so I want to inform y'all. Okay, so like I said, there's 3 stages. The first stage is known as the dilation stage. And if you aren't aware, dilation is the opening of the cervix. Dilation starts when pre-labor contractions become longer, stronger, and more frequent. Most people know that. Most people are like, oh, well, when the contractions get 5 minutes apart, this and this and this. I had no idea that dilation was a whole stage within itself. Go figure. And the first stage, the dilation stage, ends when the cervix is completely dilated to 10 centimeters. And I will insert some visual aids throughout here to show you how big that is. Obviously, it's not that big like I was holding. You're not getting this big for the baby, because I'm not the size of a newborn. Calm down. Okay, there's phases. In each stage, there's different phases. So in the first stage, the dilation stage, there are 3 phases. The phases of the dilation stage are latent phase. Most people know that as early labor. Active phase, known as active labor, and transition, known as transition. I had no idea. I knew about active labor, I knew about transition, but I didn't know it was all in the first stage of labor. I had no clue. So, latent phase, early labor, active phase, active labor, and transition phase, transition. So, moving into the phases of the first stage, early labor, which is the latent phase. This is the first stage of the dilation stage. No, this is the first phase of the dilation stage. It gets a little bit confusing, I know. This is the first, early labor is the first phase of the dilation stage. This phase lasts until the cervix is dilated to 3 to 4 centimeters. And I will put in picture visual aid to show you what 3 to 4 centimeters looks like. It can take, in early labor, it can take from a few hours up to 20 hours to become 3 to 4 centimeters dilated. Every woman's different, so they can't really give you an exact time frame on how long it's going to take you to do that, because every woman's body is completely different. Okay, active labor, which is the active phase of the dilation stage. In this phase, your cervix gets thin and soft. Contractions are more frequent and stronger. Cervix begins to dilate faster. This phase lasts until dilation has reached 8 to 9 centimeters. I'll show you guys how big that is. In active labor, contractions will be 3 to 4 minutes apart and are 1 minute in length. 3 to 4 minutes apart, lasting for a minute. Okay, next is transition phase, and this is the phase that basically is you're about to have the baby, but your contractions step up into high gear and start doing real work during transition. So transition phase is the turning point from the first stage, dilation stage, to the second stage, which is the birthing stage. The cervix dilates lasts 1 to 2 centimeters. I'll show you a visual aid of 10 centimeters. And the baby begins to descend. I'll add a picture of what descend looks like if you're not aware of what that is. The baby's head moves from within the uterus through the cervix and down into the vagina. Contractions, I had no idea about this. During transition, contractions have reached their maximum intensity. So when you hit about 7 to 8 centimeters, that's as strong as your contractions will be, which could be a good thing because they're not going to get any worse than what you're feeling at 7 to 8 centimeters. So for the next 2 centimeters of dilation, you won't get anything stronger than what you're feeling at that moment. Contractions are frequent and last 1.5 to 2 minutes. So that's long contractions in the transition stage. The mama will experience an involuntary reflex, which most people refer to as urge to push. So that she starts feeling that in the transition phase. The urge to push. A lot of people feel like they have to go potty, do number 2, but that's really just your body moving the baby's head down. It feels like you have to push, and it's gearing your body up for that part. Okay, in transition phase, the transition phase can last from 5 to 30 contractions or 15 minutes to a couple of hours. Like I said, every woman's different. So it can take just a snap or it can take a little bit longer. It's fine. Your body is still doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's still working and doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, transition takes you into the second stage, which is the birthing stage. I thought the birthing stage was the last part. No, this is the second stage, birthing stage. This stage begins when the cervix is fully dilated to 10 centimeters. I'll show you guys again what 10 centimeters looks like. So fully dilated to 10 centimeters and ends with the birth of the baby. So the end of the birthing stage is the baby. The baby rotates, descends through the vagina and is born during this stage. There are 3 phases. See, again, there are more phases in the different stages. So in the second stage, the birthing stage, there are 3 phases. Phases of the birthing stage are resting phase, descent phase, crowning, and birth phase. So the resting phase, I had no idea about this either. So I'm learning so much. I hope y'all are learning something too. Resting phase, this is an apparent pause in the labor. It's like a breather break for your uterus. It's like your uterus like, hold on, pump your brakes, I need to take me a minute. Is basically what your uterus is saying. The baby's head at this point has passed through the cervix into the birth canal. The muscles in the uterus shorten, making the uterus smaller. So that's pushing baby on down through there. This phase usually lasts about 10 to 30 minutes. If it starts taking a little bit longer, they'll get mama to move positions to jumpstart her labor up again. The next phase of the birthing stage is the descent phase. This is the longest of the 3 stages of the birthing stage. The uterus continues contracting strongly, so it's not more intensity, it's just stronger and more frequent. During the descent phase, mama has the strong urge to push. The baby descends through the birth canal and baby's head is visible from the vaginal outlet. So you can see the baby's head from the vagina. The descent phase can last from a few minutes to 4 hours. Like I said, everybody's different. There's a wide range of how long it could last. Okay. The average length of the descent phase is 1.5 hours long. So, about the average, 1.5 hours long. Okay, the last phase of the birthing stage, the crowning and birth phase, which is the time because that's when the baby's born. During this phase, baby is born. This phase begins when the baby's head starts to crown. I will probably stick in a visual aid of crowning right here. First to appear is the top of the baby's head, followed by the eyebrows and the ears, and then the whole face. Baby's head rotates to one side, the shoulders appear, and finally the baby comes out, usually with a gush of water coming out behind them. Within a few seconds, the baby's crying and breathing. If baby's crying, baby's breathing. Some babies don't cry as soon as they come out, but they are breathing. The more they cry, more they breathe, the more pink they turn. Some babies come out looking a little bit blue, but that's fine. Don't freak out. That's normal. They've just been inside water for 40 weeks. So 40 plus weeks. So it's fine. But the more they cry, the more they breathe, the more pink they turn. So don't freak out. This phase, the crowning and birth phase, only lasts for a few contractions. So not long at all. It doesn't take a whole lot of time for you to go from crowning to baby born. But every mama's different, so who knows, could take you a few more contractions on top of the 3 that they say is the average. Okay, this surprised the crap out of me. The 3rd stage. When I had my first baby, I didn't even know anything about this part of birth. None at all. The 3rd stage is the placental stage. If you don't know what placenta is, Google it, look it up, especially if you're pregnant, you need to know what the placenta is. So this stage begins when the baby is born and ends with the birth of the placenta. If you don't know what the placenta is, that's what's inside with the baby. The baby's umbilical cord is attached to the placenta. That's where they get all their nutrients, their blood's flowing through there, and that's where they get all their good stuff from while they're in the womb. But at the end, that has to be born too. So after baby's born, placenta is going to be born too. There's 2 phases of the placental stage. The separation of the placenta from inside, and then the expulsion of the placenta, meaning it coming out. This stage usually lasts between 15 and 30 minutes. I would say that's probably the average. 15 and 30 minutes sounds about right. I would assume that if it starts taking a little bit longer, they'll start doing a lot of the massaging on the belly and all that. And if it takes longer, I'm sure they'll be looking over the placenta a lot better to make sure no pieces were left behind, since it was harder for it to be born. But that's what the placenta comes out, and then the doctor checks it over to make sure no pieces were left behind, because that can lead to serious infection. But most of the time, all of it's born, and then you have the placenta. Your doctor may even show you if you'd like to see it. But it's an amazing thing that your baby lived from for the last 40 or so weeks. So to me, that's an amazing thing. But I had no idea that that had its own stage and phases. I had no idea. And going into my first birth, I had no idea that they were going to rub on my stomach and that hurt a little bit, and I did not know. So hopefully I informed y'all on the placental stage, because I had no clue about that part. But that is everything that I learned about the stages and phases of labor. I had no idea that there were 3 stages and multiple phases within each one describing labor, and I just thought that it was an incredible thing. That's amazing to me that your body is doing so much to bring this little life into the world. It's amazing what a woman's body can do, I'm telling you. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit from it, like I did, because I feel a lot more knowledgeable about labor now. So I hope you guys do too. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my videos, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching.